If you're tired of hearing the same old basic mindset and motivational fluff talk, you've come to the right show. Welcome to ProjectME with Tiffany Carter, the podcast, where we dish on everything from managing that crazy brain of yours to manifesting abundance to my straightforward, actionable steps that will make you major money online. Now, I'm not your typical multimillionaire entrepreneur. It takes a small village to keep my anxiety and depression in check. I'm inherently disorganized with an intense obsession with office supplies. Your girl here is a digital marketing content expert who's generated over $200 million in sales. I promise by tuning in twice a week, you will get a much needed refreshing dose of truth, clarity, and cash-making advice. Now let's get to it. What up, my people, my posse, my fellow crazies? I'm your host, Tiffany Carter, and today you are going to stop scaring away success and money. Resistance is a bitch. In fact, it's the reason for most of your pain, anxiety, and depression. Mine too. The first step to overcoming your resistance to following through and doing the damn thing is to accept the fact that change is required in order for you to receive your desired result. And there's no shortcut way around it. If you're in a heaping amount of discomfort right now, maybe it's financial fear, maybe it's showing up to a job that's sucking your soul, maybe it's a crappy relationship, maybe nothing seems to be working in your business, and if something doesn't change soon, you'll have to quit. This crap time is happening to push you, even force you, into taking those scary actions that you've been #resisting. You're being called through this resistance to make changes personally and professionally to get you closer to where you want to go, to take you to another level in your life, to get you out of this discomfort, this settling energy, this set point that you've kind of been hovering and stuck at, to break you free of that. No one makes significant change when they feel great or even content. Major moves are made to end the pain and to attract the pleasure you desire. If after listening to this you remain in resistance, then maybe it's time to evaluate if you want what you say you want all that badly. And it's okay if you don't. We change. Maybe what you thought you wanted came from some programming from childhood or society, or you thought you needed to go after a certain career or focus in a certain industry in your business because it's what you're good at or what you thought you could make money at or what seemed easier for you, but it's really not what your heart and soul is calling you to do. And when we do that, we bump into resistance because that soul side of you is wanting one thing. And then the ego side of you is pulling to another thing, and they're resisting each other. And no wonder you're tired, you're exhausted, you're unmotivated, you're confused, you don't know where to start. You're in an overwhelmed spin cycle because you've been sitting in this resistance. And continuing to stay in resistance is a form of self-sabotage. Once you know better, and if you don't do better, then it's a choice. You might not have been aware of this resistance until right now, until listening to me, until listening to this episode. Maybe you've heard of it before. Maybe you've gotten some other signs, but maybe this is that like final puzzle piece that really sinks in. Maybe it's that sign. You ask for a sign and then you get it. And you're like, give me one more sign just for like good measure. And then you get another sign and you're like, well, okay, maybe 3 signs, because like rule of threes, let's give me another one. It's like, you don't need any more signs. This is the sign. So maybe your next move is to get qualified support to stop sabotaging yourself. If you've been stuck in resistance for a long time, the likelihood that you're going to be able to get yourself out of it on your own is slim to none. Because that programming, that wiring, that way of thinking, those habits, all of that stuff, the stored trauma, all the gunk in there, that's got to be removed. That's got to be worked on. And this doesn't have to take years or months or anything like that, but it's very unlikely you're going to be able to unravel that all on your own. and to continue to try to figure it out on your own. I'll figure it out. I'll listen to more podcasts. I'll read more books. I'll continue to go to therapy for longer. I'll do this for longer. I'll try harder. That is also resistance in disguise. And as someone who has an anxiety disorder, I can tell you that one of the best remedies to anxiety and to depression, which I also have, and I'm medicated for, thank God, is to take action no matter how small. Because anxiety is really fear, right? Depression is a lot of suppressed anger. And when we're just sitting in our stuff, it's like, when you see a pond or you see like a pool of water that's maybe gathered in your yard or on a concrete slab, and it's just been sitting there and it just gets gunky and it gets gross. And they always say, right, stale water is a breeding ground for bugs and mosquitoes. You've been in that stale water. You need something to move it. You need something to shake it up. You need your energy to move physically in your cells, in your brain. So we've got to take some kind of action. And I really mean it when I say no matter how small. Even this morning for me, I have been really integrating and processing from coming off of a beautiful high-level mastermind experience that was heavy in releasing resistance and tuning into my higher self and really getting into that manifestation energy, that abundant energy. And in order to get there, right, there was a lot of clearing and then there was a lot of aligning. And I've been also working with one of my clients who's incredible, an incredible, I don't even know what I want to call her, but she calls herself, she's a subconscious mind strategist. She's an energy healer, Brenda Johnston. She's incredible. And I've been working with her to remove these old stored beliefs, stuff that's been programmed by my narcissistic mother and just gunk that's been in my system that needs some help to be released, right? It needs some shakeup. It needs some movement. I mean, that's what you would do. That's essentially what we're doing, right? With a clogged pipe. You have a clogged pipe. I don't know if you guys were following me on my Instagram stories, which you need to be watching there because you'll see all the hijinks I get myself into. But the shower was not draining properly. I'm like, oh no. Cause I really life skills are not my thing. Yes, making money, helping you get in the abundance zone, get to the zero fuck zone, all those things. Yes, that's my jam. Speaking, talking, writing, content creation. When we're talking about some household chores, this is not my thing. I don't fold unless it's money. And I certainly don't drain pipes. So I was like, okay, well, we know the likelihood is it's some kind of a hairball. And I'm also not available for opening that grate and pulling out a hairball. The thought of it makes me want to throw up. But what ended up having to happen, right? What do we do when we have that clogged pipe? Someone has to go in there and remove what's in there. And if that's not enough, then we have to put some kind of a chemical or a fluid in there that disintegrates, that moves the blockage that's in there. Or maybe there has to be some kind of snaking of the drain where they stick something down there basically and move it around and push it around through the system. This is what happens when you have these energy and belief blocks. And sometimes you're not aware of what those blocks are. You need help uncovering those, just like you don't know what's blocking necessarily a drain. And then once it's pulled out, it's like a giant animal-sized hairball. You're like, oh my God, that's disgusting. That was festering in there, and it has all the oils and the shampoo that's all stuck in there, and it's so gross. And you're like, oh my God, I can't believe that was in there that long. No wonder this wasn't working properly. No wonder it wasn't draining properly. Nasty. And then you turn on the water and it flows and it works so beautifully. So you're constipated is what I'm trying to say. And some of you might be legit constipated because resistance also manifests in us physically. So I want you to take an actual physical inventory. If your digestive system has been constipated or you've been suffering from constipation even for years, do you have a lot of inflammation? Do you have a lot of tightening of your joints and stiffness of your joints? These are all signs that you're holding on. Some people get like a knot in their stomach. Some people even have, I noticed some people in my recent mastermind where a lot of like throat clearing and coughing was going on. There's a congestion. You might have nasal congestion, right? Sinus congestion. So you need help getting this removed. How did I become a multimillionaire entrepreneur? How did I become someone who had zero self-worth, who I genuinely love myself and even embrace the stuff about myself that isn't so cute? How did I create a life where I am making so much money doing what I love and helping people and having fun while doing it? Most days, not on my cunty days, because nothing's fun on those days. One uncomfortable action at a time for all the things. How did I leave my 6-figure corporate career to become a business owner when I had no experience in doing so and no one to support me? One uncomfortable action at a time. And I'm glad you took this action and listening to this podcast. That's taking an action. Maybe you need to go for an abundance walk. And my season of abundance series is coming up. Right now, you can go still listen to my summer abundance walks and you're like, well, but it's not summer. It still applies. But we're going to be releasing the new audios soon, so you'll have those. But maybe it's taking a walk. Maybe it's brushing your teeth. Like I was in a jam this morning, just like jammed up, like an energetic jam, because that is going to happen once you start working towards having this release, once you start working towards going to another level, getting out of that settling energy, having more for yourself, attracting more for yourself, expanding more. That resistance, your ego, is going to be pulling you back. It's almost like you're wearing a backpack and you're trying to walk forward, even run forward, even spring forward. And there's some force pulling that backpack the other direction. And that's exactly what started happening to me, because when you're going to another level, when you're in an expansion mode, this is what happens, because our egos want to keep us safe. They want to keep us where we're at, because even if it's not good for us, because it's familiar, and familiar equals safe. Even if familiar is making you miserable, even if familiar is making you uncomfortable, even if familiar is boring you, is sucking the life out of you, is keeping you broke, is having you feel so unfulfilled, it's still familiar. The uncomfortable, the settling is familiar. Going and expanding means you're going somewhere that you've not been before. You're entering the unknown. And that is scary. That's like going into the basement when you were a kid. And if one of your parents like sent you to go to the basement for something, those of you who grew up who had basements, and it's like terrifying. It's dark. There's weird sounds. What's happening here? Then you open your eyes really wide, like that means you can see better. I still do that. You don't know. And it does. It turns on that fear receptor. So that resistance is going to only get stronger. And for some of you, this manifests in you getting sick. And I have to have this conversation with my clients all the time, and my members of my posse group all the time, where they're like, oh my God, I was supposed to launch and now I'm sick. Not surprised, because what is happening? Now this ego is strong, cunning, baffling, crazy, manipulative. It is trying to say, oh no, we're holding your back. We're going to even make you get sick. We're going to even have you sprain your ankle. We're going to have you catch a cold. We're going to have your kids get sick. We're going to have something unexpected happen in your life that's going to add more pressure. We're going to have your mom marry an ex-con. How about that? How about that? I can't even make up the stuff that has happened in 2022 because this is the year for so many people. It's not just me. So this is going to be validating for you, where people, places, things, beliefs, situations, stuff that is no longer serving your greatest good of where you're wanting to go is getting removed at a rapid rate. The gunk is being cleaned out so you can rise. Because you can't rise when you have all that weight. You can certainly try, and I'm stubborn enough where I'll keep going and I'll keep pushing and I'll keep forcing to rise even with all this weight on me. So I did reach a certain amount of success even with all this resistance rate because I'm just so determined, so fixated on it. But I was completely burnt out and exhausted. Now it gets to be easy. It gets to be easy. It gets to be light. You take off that resistance. You might still, and then some days it does come back, but then you have a choice to let it go. You've got to work with that resistance. You can talk to it. I talked to it this morning where I said, no, we're not doing this anymore. This is safe. I'm safe. I'm safe. I'm supported. I'm secure. I'm loved. I've got my own back. We're exploring now. We're exploring. Talk to that resistance, which is really fear. And a lot of it is coming from your inner child. Talk to it. It's going to be okay. We're just exploring. We're experimenting with new things. And I know it's scary and we're going forward anyway. This is happening regardless. So if you want to continue to try this resistance stuff on me, you can keep trying, but we're doing this anyway. This is happening regardless, period, end of story. So you might as well stop. And it might get louder for you and more shit might happen for you because that's how strong and developed that ego of yours is into keeping you right where you're at. And then you've got to keep saying, I'm safe, I'm secure, I'm moving forward. This is what's meant for me. Because what's your other choice? If you don't, you're going to remain exactly where you're at for the rest of this year and going into 2023. And not on my watch, honey. That's not going to happen on my watch. And if you've been in this kind of rubber band, where it stretches and snaps back, and that insanity, because you keep doing that enough times that rubber band's going to break. Hence, like a true breakdown. I've been there. And we don't need to operate this way anymore. It doesn't, to get to where you want to go, it doesn't have to be hard. Take that out. To get to where you want to go, it must be easy. It must be light. It must be fun. It must feel freeing. The hard part is managing the resistance, is managing the mental gymnastics, is managing the ego. That's the stuff that's going to feel hard, annoying, and heavy at times, okay? But the actual steps and the act of attraction and strategy and creativity and intuition of having the life that you truly want, that's not the hard part. But you continuing to do this alone is you staying in resistance, is you staying in self-sabotage. This is why I have a team of support. Because what's the cost of me not having it? I'll stay in the resistance. So what do you need to help you get out of and stay out of the resistance? What is going to work best for you? Is it coming into my ProjectME Posse business coaching membership so that you have accountability, you have weekly accountability, you have other people in there to support you, to collaborate with, to be immersed in this energy where you get weekly live trainings from me and other special guest experts? Where we do a focus on this. Yes, you get strategy. Yes, I teach you the how, but you're also getting the support in removing those blocks and navigating the resistance so that you can keep going forward. If we don't do both, it will not work. And your brain might like focusing just on the strategy because it doesn't feel as heavy. It doesn't feel as hard. It doesn't feel as scary. It feels more concrete. It feels less uncertain. But you've got to have both, which is why I massage them together in all of my programs, because I'd be doing a disservice for you, whether you're a private client you're in a group program of mine, you're in my membership, you're attending something of mine that's free, like a live training, I'd be doing you a disservice if I didn't include both. But talk back to that resistance. Explore why you wouldn't take actions to make sure you don't stay or slip back into resistance. Why would you set yourself up to not move forward? Why would you be setting yourself up to where you will end up getting pulled back into old behaviors, old patterns, old thoughts? Why would you do that? And I'm not saying it for you to beat yourself up. I'm saying it for you to explore. Why would you do that? Is it because you don't feel like it's possible for you? Is it because you don't feel like you deserve it? Because you do. Because we all do. It's there for all of us. It's right there. But your resistance is in between you and the very thing you want, the love you want, the money you want, the lifestyle you want, the connections you want, the fulfillment you want, the career you want. It's right there. But it's the resistance that you have. Some of you have a big brick wall. Some of you have a skyscraper. Some of you have a screen door. And that's all that needs to be worked through in order for you to be able to call in what you want and to be able to reach it. And it feels like you've been doing all the things and you're in total insanity, and why is nothing working? Because you've not addressed the resistance part. So I want you to take that time. Maybe you need to listen to this episode again. Do some writing. Have a conversation with a trusted friend. Get this gunk out of your system. Join my Posse membership. That link is right inside the show notes, or you can go to projectmewithtiffany.com/ProjectMePosse and get in there. We have a couple membership spots that are open right now, so you can get in. I keep that membership at an intimate size, so there are not always spots available. And go download my abundance walks if you have not done that. Take some kind of action in order to navigate through the resistance. Otherwise, it's only going to grow stronger and stronger and stronger. And like I said, this ain't happening on my watch. Wishing you great health, wealth, and worth as always. Love you. If you enjoyed this podcast, please write a 5-star review on iTunes. Not only will this make me super happy, but it will allow more listeners to find our special show. Simply help me help others.